because we have a lot to get. Great, thank you. We don't have a lot to, we have a lot to get through, so I want to get going on this. So
Sarah
with
said
you-
she's joining now.
Okay, good. And I will just go ahead and begin. That's all right. She can sign on in or let her in when she connects. Welcome, everyone. This is the 31st DAA Board of Directors meeting, monthly meeting. I will read the notice and then a statement, and then we'll move on to the call to order. This board meeting is called in accordance with Governor Gavin Newsom's proclaiming a state of emergency to exist on March 4, 2020 as a result of the threat of COVID-19 and the March 12, 2020 Executive Order N2520. Board directors and staff of the California Department of Food and Agriculture may attend this meeting telephonically without notice or of access to their teleconference location. Members of the public may attend the meeting and provide comment at the meeting location noticed above. Any item not so noticed on this agenda will not be considered or discussed. Public participation. Members of the public are encouraged to provide comment to the board. While the board values the participation of the public, the board president reserves the right to limit the time for public comment to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker in order to proceed with the agenda. Public comment must be related to fair authority and jurisdiction, and their placement on the agenda is within the discretion of the board. All meeting notices, agendas, and materials considered by the board during the meeting will be available to the public prior to the meeting at the fair office. Agendas and meeting notices will be posted at board's website at www.venturacountyfair.org. Pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act, individuals who, because of a disability, need special assistance to attend or participate in any board meetings or committee meetings or in connection with other district fair activities may request assistance at the 31st DAA Fair Office, 10 West Harbor Boulevard, Ventura, California, or by calling 805-648-3376. Requests should be made 1 week in advance whenever possible. Before we begin the meeting, I want to acknowledge a wave of recent correspondence prompted by social media speculation that has led some to believe that there are plans to exclude livestock programs from the fair or make it more difficult for children to participate in our time-honored agricultural traditions. The board and staff take great pride in the VC Fair, in our community, and in the individual participants in all of the departments. In that spirit, we want you to know there is no conversation, nor is there any desire by any board or staff member to remove livestock programs from the fair in any way. There have not been any discussions or consideration by the board or staff of autumn fair dates or dates outside of the normal fair time. For those who are moved to write letters, we thank you for bringing your concerns to us in the proper forum. We welcome and can strongly consider your suggestions, concerns, and thoughts. We urge you to continue to reach out to us when we have questions or want to collaborate, what you may have been told or what you may have read online. We serve the state of California and our district on behalf of the governor, and we take this role very seriously. Not only do we care, but we love the fairgrounds, the staff, and the public that enjoy our gathering place. With that, I will call to order officially this meeting. And Heidi, would you do the roll? Call the roll.
Yes. Director Bradbury?
Here.
Director Cuevas?
Director Cuevas is absent today due to personal reasons.
Director Long?
Here.
Director Lopez?
Here.
Director Morgan Carter?
Here.
Director Weigel?
Here.
Vice President Lacayo?
Here.
And President Cornejo?
Here.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, who is that?
Armando.
Director Lopez.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If you consider it appropriate, since I just realized that Cecilia is not here, and she's the one that asked that the gun issue be brought forth to this meeting, I would move that we table that item until she can attend next month's meeting. I'm taking it out of order only so that people that are here for that item might leave, so if they choose to.
Okay, so just to restate that Director Cuevas is not here. She was the one who made the motion to put the gun shows on our agenda today, and she is not able to attend the meeting today. So the motion is to table that subject on the agenda today. It's appropriate to address that here at this time as we look at the agenda. Normally, as president, I have the ability to add and remove issues, but because this was a unanimous vote by the board to place it on the agenda, I think the whole board should have a say in that. So I would agree with having a motion on that. Is there a second to that
I
motion?
second that motion.
Second, yes.
Okay,
earlier.
that was that Director Morgan Carter?
I did.
Okay, I thought that was you that did that. Okay, so we have a second.
I would like, this is Director Lai. I'd like to speak to that motion.
Okay,
I
go ahead.
I support it only because we are unfortunately already a director down, and I think this is really important for all of us to be able to vote on this, however we go. So I think that's appropriate at this time.
Also, I think it might be well, let's see how the vote goes, and then I'll make a comment. Any other comments by directors on this change in agenda or tabling of one item? Okay, so Heidi, would you call that vote, please?
Yes. Director Bradbury,
Yes.
Director Long,
Yes,
Director Lopez,
Yes,
Director Morgan Carter,
Yes,
Director Weigel,
Yes.
Vice President Lacayo,
Yes.
and President Cornejo.
Yes. Okay, motion carries unanimously. My comment is I'm glad and I thank Director Lopez for catching that early in the agenda so that those who want to speak on this issue would still be able to speak during public comments since the other item has been moved down the agenda. So, and then those who want to speak on the gun show issue will not, will have that opportunity early in the agenda. Okay. All right, declaration of recusal or conflict of interest. Does any board member have a conflict of interest that should preclude them from participating in discussions about or voting on any matter on today's agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask then that Director Long lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which on spot there, if you would, Dan, please.
I would be happy to. You could stand as you're able, face a flag if you have one. And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, and one nation under God, with indivisible liberty
And
and justice for all.
Okay, item 3 on the agenda is welcome and introduction of guests and staff. First, CEO Quaid, would you let us know who is here with us from staff?
Absolutely. Barbara Quaid, CEO, Heidi Ortiz, Executive Assistant, James Lockwood, PR, Jason Emilio, Sales. Let me go to the second page. Is there any other staff members on the call that would like to be identified? I think that may be it.
Thank you. And then if there's any member of the public that would like to introduce themselves that does not plan to speak during the agenda under comments, now would be the time to identify yourselves as being in attendance. Is there anyone at this point? And we're looking at several screens, so, I don't see any hands raised.
Can you just confirm for us all that the fair dates is on the agenda and we should speak during that agenda item, not public comments, if we're here to talk about fair dates?
Yes, Ms. Flame, it's absolutely on the agenda under item 9, old business. And so that would be the appropriate time to speak at that time. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Could you ask folks before they speak to identify themselves so that they can be identified in the minutes correctly?
And if I can mention that, that is if they wish to be known who is speaking. We do not have the right to demand the name of a person who is speaking. Anyone can speak. However, if you wish for to be identified in the minutes by your comments, please be sure that you state your name. Okay. So we'll move into CEO report. Barbara Quaid.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. It's nice.
What
to-
about public comments?
Excuse me for that. This is back and forth on lots of pages of paper. Forgive me for that. Absolutely. I stand corrected. Item 4, I know we have plenty, so I know we were going to hear from you all, but forgive me. Item 4, public comments on items not on the agenda. So again, since we removed the gun shows, this would be the appropriate time for anyone who wants to speak on that issue and any other things that are not on the agenda. Okay. Forgive me for that. Okay, so I see first hand up, I see Megan Hook.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment about the opening statement from the board about social media speculation and just clarify that there was no speculation. It was based off of a quote Barbara Quaid made in the October 13th VC Reporter article, where she said it was possible that livestock would be removed from the fair. So just to clarify, we're not making things up as we go. We are literally using Barbara Quaid's words to guess what's next, since nobody will tell us. So thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue with public comments. And now I'm only seeing a short screen here. I can see Kinsey Flame. I will need, yeah, okay, Kinsey Flame.
Good morning. My name is Kinsey Flame. I own Moms of Conejo Valley. I am a chamber board member in our area, and I am a fair alumni kid. I also wanted to remind the fair board, these meetings are recorded. It is quite offensive to all of us that are here that statement was made. I will be totally honest. We have heard you talk about autumn dates. We have discussed schools being out of school in October. There was a meeting that I attended.
Madam President, I think a point of order, I mean, we are talking about something that is on the agenda, and certainly anybody can speak about that at that time.
I'm specifically discussing the comment made at the beginning, not fair dates, just how the public and community is treated here. I have been told by Ms. Quaid that I should not make a public comment, that I should contact her directly. The comment today at the beginning of the meeting was quite offensive to all of us that are here, spending time away from our families and our jobs to get our kids at the fair. And we have heard the comments, we've been here, these meetings are recorded. You cannot deny it, and you cannot say that it didn't happen. So please just remember that all of us here, we are taking the time away from our families and our jobs for something that we feel so strongly and so passionate about. And I would just hope that everybody remembers that. Thank you.
Next on my screen, I see Karen Peters.
Good morning. Karen Peters with Brady United, Ventura County chapter. I just got an email from Steve Lindley, who is with Brady United. Excuse me. And I'm just going to read it. He says he will most likely not be able to make the hearing. And here are his concerns from the gun show last weekend. Number one, although there was security present, there was no visible presence of law enforcement. Number two, 2 vendors were selling expandable batons, which is a felony to possess in California. Number 3, the short barrel assault weapon kits that pictures were taken of. Another issue with these are the colors they are being sold in: white, blue, pink, purple, etc. They look like toy guns and are not real guns. He has a typo here. So there is a host of issues for safe handling kids and law enforcement with firearms that look like toys. Number 4, even though there was a mask mandate and signs posted, about 1/3 of the people and vendors at the gun show were not wearing masks. If they can't follow simple rules, how will they follow firearm laws? I did not see any vendors selling ghost guns. And that's from Steve Lindley. I just wanted to take the opportunity, even though we're not talking about gun show policy, to recommend the policy for the 31st District Agricultural Association to be banning the sale of firearms or ammunition on the property of the Ventura County Fairgrounds. These policies in California aren't exactly new and actually began in the late 1990s when LA County adopted a law that banned them on its property. Most recently, gun sales ended at Del Mar Fairgrounds and San Mateo County's Cow Palace, and just days ago, Orange County, the 32nd District Agricultural Association. The concept, the policy is not new. Thank you.
Thank you. On my screen, I see John.
Sorry, it took me a moment to figure out how to unmute. My name is John Kunzmiller. I've been a 36-year resident of Ventura County, and I have enjoyed numerous events at the fairgrounds, most especially gun shows. The state property should be available to all citizens for legal purposes, and the gun shows have always been widely attended and, as I understand, very profitable for the Ag Commission here. I make a couple of remarks, though, to Karen Peters' reading of Steve Lindley's comment, and that is that I disagree that there was an absence of law enforcement. I was at the gun show this weekend. It was a peaceable event, and there was plenty of law enforcement, including canine dogs. The comment about 1/3 people not wearing masks, I don't know that that's necessarily relevant to the discussion of whether or not there should or shouldn't be gun shows. I will say that my observation was that the folks that didn't wear masks was no different than what I see in other areas like shopping malls and such. And so I offered that comment, and I'll close with the statement that I think that we should continue to have gun shows at the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Sorry, next on screen, I see Kay Small.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak here. I just kind of wanted to echo John, first of all, in contrast to Karen Peters' comments. I was also at the gun show over the weekend, and there was a table with no less than 2 law enforcement officers between the front gate and the actual buildings, addressing every single person who came in, checking for any sort of firearms on their way into the show. So I think that's an unfortunate statement and a misleading statement. I never saw less than 2 law enforcement officers there the entire day. I am with the California Rifle and Pistol Association, by the way. I'm here to ask that you continue to contract these gun shows at the Ventura Fairgrounds and not change the existing policy. I think President Cornejo hit the nail on the head at the last meeting in saying that there's no legal basis here, and that you kind of need the legal basis in order to change the policy. I'm listening to a lot of the same arguments that you guys have heard over the last 3 years. As far as logic is concerned, you came to the conclusion back then that these demands to stop having the gun show weren't rooted in fact and didn't have the standing to change your mind, and I don't really see how that would be changed here. I would ask that you show me the person who walks into the Ventura Gun Show, purchases a gun, and doesn't have to wait 10 days to pick it up. I'd ask that you show me the person who commits a violent crime and admits to purchasing their firearm at the Ventura Gun Show. These things don't exist. If they did, they'd be brought in front of you here today, and they're not proven. One thing that is proven, though, at Cal Palace, at Del Mar, and now at Orange County, these fair boards that restrict Americans' First and Second Amendment rights will have legal action taken against them. That's the one thing here that has been proven. And the other thing that's been proven is that, you know, they end up losing in the federal court. So I'm just going to ask again, I would like to see these gun shows continue so that it doesn't come to that. And I think that you'll find, as you have found in the recent past, that a lot of people end up going to these gun shows. And we're just literally asking that you give Ventura County residents the choice, right? We hear that in so many other political debates. All we want is the choice. If you don't want to go to a gun show, you don't have to. But for those who do want to, they should have the right to do that. Thank you.
Madam President, Dan Long.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you mentioned earlier whether there was a time limit or whether we are timing. I'm just wanting to make sure that we're on track.
It is a 3-minute time, and Heidi has the clock, and she is going to either hold up her phone or wave a hand to me when they reach 3 so that we
Yeah,
can make
I'm
sure.
keeping track.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the screen, Beth Mansfield.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Mansfield from Ventura, and I attended the gun show also. Thanks so much, guys, for leading into this. One of the things I noticed was the table where you checked in your guns. Those were not officers when we went on Saturday at 10 a.m. Those were hired security guards. So that's just one of the many things that I found wrong with the show. The most apparent was that security cables were only used by one gun vendor, and that was Turner Outdoorsman. They used the heavy metal security cords that have a lock on each one of them, and it was secured to something heavy under the table. Other vendors, every other vendor used filament, which is plastic. It's like plastic. It's thicker than fishing line, but it's not quite as thick as a weed whacker. And that was looped through several guns, sometimes without so much as a knot to secure it. The filament can be cut easily with scissors, box cutter, knife, or even toenail clippers, all of which are allowed at this event. The worst offender was Valor Industries, and I sent a video to Barbara and the board that shows how it was attached loosely, not even knotted, to a tabletop display, and then 20 long guns were attached to it. That is not following the rules. That is not living up to their part of the contract. So again, I'm going to point out, as I did 2 years ago when I attended the last show, they are breaking they're breaking your contract. And it's up to the Fair Board to enforce these contracts with Crossroads. You have the power to end sale of guns and ammunition on state-owned property. This is a community safety and gun violence prevention opportunity for the board. And I would sincerely hope that you end your contract with someone who cannot fulfill their side of it. Thank you.
Next, I see Marion.
Couldn't hear you, Leslie.
Sorry, next I see Marion. I'm not muted, so.
My name is Marion Wallach, and I am a vendor at the show. I was there for every minute of the show, including many hours before and several hours afterwards. And I think some of the concerns that are being raised here are concerns that are only intended to hurt the vendors. There has never been a case where someone has cut one of the cords and walked away with a gun. nobody around them, whether they sold guns or not, would even give that a possibility of happening. Everybody wanted it to be extremely family friendly, which it was. Anybody that was there saw the many, many families with children. We had little children handing out Halloween candy. We had all sorts of family activities. The other thing is relative to the masks. I hope all of you have had to wear a mask for 10 hours in a row while you're trying to work and trying to talk to customers. Anybody that does marketing knows that your smile and your ability to interact with customers is very important. And I had a couple of times when I thought that I was possibly going to faint because I had inhaled so much carbon dioxide from having the mask on. So I think the idea that some people didn't have masks on for a few minutes during the show is very disingenuous. That is not breaking the rules like you would break a gun rule. That is trying to maintain your sanity while you are trying to sell your product. So I think we have to try and be a little realistic here, and also that show that the attendance at this show says that this is what people want in Ventura. This was the most well-attended gun show I've ever been at Ventura, and people were having an extremely good time. And I don't know why a few people should be thinking that they should be keeping people from having this type of a good community event. So I encourage you to continue the policy that you have, and everyone will work on increasing their reliance on how they're doing it so that they can please some of these people who don't seem to be able to be pleased by anything. So thank you very much.
Next hand up I see is T. Chevront. I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry.
That's correct. That's correct. Thank you. And I see people with their hands raised like this. If you could just let people know how to comment, maybe after mine, that would probably be helpful for a lot of people. So my name is Tiffany Chevront, and I am an attorney with Michelle and Associates, and I also represent Crossroads and California Rifle and Pistol Association. And I am disappointed that the board decided not to move forward with acting on this. I'm not really sure how you do business if you can't do any business with one of your board members gone, but that's just very disappointing to me that all these people came out and took time to be on this call, and the board has voted not to take action. That being said, I want to address two issues today. One is the attempt to cancel culture with something that you don't agree with. And the other is these precursor parts, ghost guns. Evidently, the color of a firearm or a kit matters now, according to Mr. Lindley as well. And so I've heard in previous board meetings, speakers question the parenting style of those that would call gun shows family friendly. I mean, you just heard there were tons of families there this weekend, all having a good time, all being safe. I've heard that staff from this very facility tried to stop political speech and safety training at the gun show, all while the board calls for more of it. The board complains that in the past that training doesn't kind of fit their view of what training should be, that it should be more pronounced, that it shouldn't just be volunteers offering it. And the speakers that are here at these meetings, they question anything that they don't agree with. So I come to you today with great news. All of that activity that I just mentioned, it's protected, and it's not up to you as the board. Other fair boards have found themselves in this very costly legal battles for trying to stop this kind of activity. Those boards pay the legal costs. The state doesn't pay your legal costs, and the speakers here asking you to infringe upon this lawful activity don't pay your legal costs. Those boards lost in the past, and it was very expensive for them, and it's during a time when a lot of boards are struggling financially. The other issue that I want to bring up is these precursor parts. There's been a lot of talk about precursor firearms and kits. And my question to you is, does anyone even know what a ghost gun is? Because my understanding is that it hasn't been defined yet. The state is actually trying to define this right now. I could go out to my garage and get a shovel, and that could be considered a precursor part the way it's written right now, because you can mill a firearm out of a shovel. It could be anything that's metal, plastic, anything. What I can tell you is that the kits that are at the gun shows are not firearms. They legally are not firearms until they are milled and serialized. And so more good news for you. It's not your job to define that. You have no right to ban lawful products that the state says can be sold at these gun shows. It's not your job. So I just want to say, we don't want to see another board embroiled in these costly litigation for banning lawful activity, but that is definitely the road that you are on. And you should learn from the mistakes of these other boards. You should read the orders from the courts, and you should approve these 2022 contracts for gun shows and a vendor who has no safety issues and has been following your rules and the rules of the state. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw I had, pardon me,
Leslie,
yes?
Scott Toland's had his hand up.
Yeah, I just saw he was who I was going to call on next. Yes, Scott Toland.
Thank you very much for the recognition. My comment is regarding the president's comment when the meeting first opened, and I concur with Megan and with Kinsey, who spoke earlier. We have been labeled as people who spread rumors. We have been labeled as fear mongers by more than one of you on the board. The concerns that we have are as stakeholders and are as leaders and community members and families that have been a part of this fair for a long time. So I offer confirmation of what Kinsey said about the recordings, and I actually received the recordings from the state. So the first recording, and I'll quote word for word, came from Barbara Quaid. The quote was, "As far as the larger departments go, we may look at doing some of those events prior to the fair dates to be able to give everybody the largest audience they can." Quote number one. The second quote, which put some doubt in, continued to put doubt in a lot of our minds, was again from Barbara Quaid, word for word. "I do have some ideas, Dan. Unfortunately, I'm hesitant to announce them at this time because just feel it's going to create, before the board as a whole can look at those dates, I think there's going to be too much upheaval at this point." So those are word for word quotes. So we were not spreading fear mongering, spreading rumors. We were reacting to comments that were made by the CEO, and I'm going to say somewhat supported by the board from their lack of comment on the other side. Had there been some statement or comment that said from the board or the CEO, hey, we're really seriously looking at trying to keep the dates the same as they are, but we're all faced with things we don't know right now. But we really would like to keep the fair the way it has been, the way that everybody's known it for years and years. Any sort of confirmation that there was some consideration of trying to keep it that way, rather than saying maybe we should consider, in fact, there was in the executive committee and also then brought to the board, there was comments about the board and some actual motions that said, let's open up and expand outside of July and August to any month of the year, and let's eliminate what might be a 12-day fair to make it any day at all. There was never anybody that came out other than that and said, hey, we're really looking at trying to keep it this way. We're really trying to get this
Scott,
done.
I'm really sorry. You were talking about generally, and now we're talking about fair dates, and that actually.
I was talking about your comments where we were being scolded as the public for creating rumors and fear mongering, and I was addressing those specifically from the comments that you stated. So that's where I'm coming from. I am trying to express that we are out here. I support what Kinsey's saying. It's insulting for you to basically scold us and for you guys to, in repeated meetings, say that we were spreading rumors and fear mongering when the quotes that caused us concern came from the CEO, and I just read those to you. So please don't disrespect what this public has done and the hundreds of people that have been involved. And right now there's close to 70 people also on the call that I know are supporting, that we're hoping that the fair dates come back to the reality of them being where they've always been. But I'm tired of getting scolded and I'm tired of being insulted. And I think a lot of the people on this call are too. So this comes directly in response to your opening statement, Leslie. That's what I have to say today.
Okay, any other comments? Bob Templeton? You're muted.
Thank you. Good morning, folks. I'm Bob Templeton, owner of the Crossroads of the West gun shows. We've been in business for 46 years. We're a family business, and we've been doing shows at the Ventura County Fairgrounds for about 12 years. Our business has been and continues to be based on working cooperatively with law enforcement, local fair board management, and federal and state agencies who are engaged in the enforcement activities regarding gun shows. We insist on compliance with applicable laws and facility management rules from our vendors and members of the public who attend and participate in our events, and here at Ventura and at the other 62 shows that we do throughout the year, about half of which are in the state of California. You can look to our example of cooperation and compliance with facility management this past weekend as we implemented the board requirement that we have no unserialized receivers at the show. We worked hard to make sure that that rule was implemented, and we had excellent cooperation and compliance from our vendors with the board's rule. We've worked cooperatively again over the years with law enforcement and facility management to make sure that we have a safe and family-friendly environment and there are no illegal activities going on at the gun shows. We made a good faith effort this past weekend to make sure the rules were followed, your rules and the law, and we received good support from our vendors and our members of the public. I'm asking that you authorize management to issue contracts for next year, 2022, based on the precedent schedule that we've had for the last 12 years. As you know, the Del Mar Fair Board denied our contracts 2 years ago. It's been mentioned here earlier in the meeting, and we exercised a good faith effort prior to them canceling those contracts. We exercised a good faith effort to meet the demands of the board. And they capitulated, but they capitulated to an aggressive effort by a few anti-Second Amendment activists and denied our contracts. We filed suit and won a judgment of several $100,000 against the fair itself. The court determined that our constitutional rights had been violated by denying us those contracts. Speaking as the owner of Crossroads of the West, it's not my desire or the desire of our company to engage in litigation. We much prefer to continue to work cooperatively with the governing board, Ventura County Fair Board, with law enforcement, and with fair management to provide a safe and welcoming environment to the residents of Ventura County. So I respectfully request that you authorize management to issue contracts for the year 2022. I'm disappointed that you are not taking that under advisement at this time. We need to have contracts issued for 2022 quickly in order that we can integrate them into our schedule. But I pledge the Crossroads team will continue to work cooperatively with you as a board and with fair management and with law enforcement to keep the shows in compliance with all applicable laws and reasonable rules that you folks impose. And we'll continue to expand the educational and instructional classes to improve gun safety in Ventura County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't see another hand up. I would like to advise that if you're on full screen and you look at the bottom, you see reactions. If you click on reactions, there is a button that says raise hand. So that does help us find you instead of looking for waving hands if you want to speak on any particular issue. So knowing that, is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time in public comments? Okay, I do not see any at this time, so I thank you very much for that. And so we do not have any presentations planned for today, so we'll move on to the CEO report. Barbara Quaid.
Good morning, everyone. Well, this has been a very fruitful month for the fairgrounds in that we have many requests for rentals, and we're trying to make this jigsaw puzzle work with the existing rentals that we have on the books and folks calling to be able to rent. In fact, I think within the next 2 months, we have our very first private event that's coming back. As you know, a bit later in the meeting, I have recommended to the board dates for 2022. This has been a more difficult decision this year. As you're all aware, things are not the same as usual and require a lot more planning and making certain that we are at the very least amount of conflict with other fairs, events, etc. Staff has been helping with the calendar to be able to also bring you dates. I initially wanted to be able to open in the 3rd week of August and close on Labor Day. That is correct, but that doesn't work for a few of the departments. But the board was clear about keeping the fair in July and August, and those are my orders. Second choice is dates completely in August and being able to avoid the overlap with Orange County, which would be very, very helpful for us. We would be able to contract with the Core Carnival, but as happened years back, the carnival was not able to open until Friday due to a fair closing, sloughing their rides and setting up here safely. It was difficult to open with no rides for 2 days, and I don't want to repeat those times. Due diligence has taken a while, and while we are still waiting for 2 fairs to award their carnival RFP, I know we can make this happen. The programming will be decided on as we continue our planning process. We've also received a letter from CFSA. It's in board correspondence. Our general liability for 2022 will be $119,000 per year, and our workers' comp will be $57,000 per year. Since we're beginning to work on the budget for 2022, we will utilize these figures in budgeting for the next year. This was a profitable weekend as far as parking goes. We had a Crossroads at the West Show and a demolition derby in the Raceway area, plus our regular beach parking for a total of $18,000 plus. The poker club was on last night's agenda for the city council, and they approved the card club coming here. The contract is in the packet and is there for the board's approval. I'm very excited about the card club being here and satellite wagering as well. Having 2 contractors in that building will bring us much needed revenue without straining our budget with employees and various bills, etc. Additionally, I want to mention that we did hire a former police chief to be present both days of the gun show as requested at the last board meeting. Tom Cady, who's a retired assistant police chief in Oxnard, was here an hour prior to opening, and we told him that if everything wasn't in order, we would not allow the show to open. Everything indeed was in order, and he left early on Sunday, seeing nothing else that there was for him to do. He talked to Bob, he talked to all of the vendors, and he worked diligently for the fairgrounds. This was an unexpected expense for us, but it was a very worthwhile one. I think I'm going to close now and let you get on with this board meeting. So I appreciate you putting my report first, Leslie, or a little earlier so that we can get some of the good news out.
Thank you, Barbara. Any questions of Barbara from staff? From the board, I should say. Sorry about that. And if not, we can move on in the agenda to the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved, Leah.
I would
Director
second it.
Lacayo, our Vice
Dan.
President Lacayo and Director Long seconds. I do have one correction, if you will allow. On page 13, under my comments, I express gratitude to staff, fellow board members, and to the public for it was written as plotting with T's, and I said plodding with 2 D's, which has a completely different connotation. So we were plodding through all of the issues. So I don't usually correct spelling, but when it changes the connotation, I'd like that correction, please. Anything else on that, or shall we go ahead and call the vote? Heidi, would you go ahead and call the vote, please, on the minutes?
Yes. Director Bradbury,
Yes.
Director Long,
Yes.
Director Lopez,
Yes.
Director Morgan Carter,
Yes.
Director Weigel,
Yes.
Vice President Lacayo,
Yes.
and President Cornejo.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the financial report.
I believe Christian is on the line. Christian, are you available?
Hear him?
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can. Yep, you're good, Christian.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted, but I guess I was muted. Good morning.
Good morning.
Financials for the period ending September 30th, 2021. On our balance sheet, total assets equals total liabilities and capital resources for a total of 7.6 million. Total cash balance, we had a net intake of 110,000. Accounts receivable are at $0. On the consolidated income statement for September, we had a surplus of 70,000. So our 2020 year to date, we are at a surplus of 776,000. Our 2020 year to date, we were at a deficit of 298,000. Are there any questions?
Any questions on the financials?
No.
Is that a yes?
I
I'm
move
sorry.
to
Okay.
file.
Okay. Sorry, just
I'll move to receive and file.
Second.
any other questions? We'll have that vote. Do we vote on, are we receiving and filing? Yeah, we do not vote on this. So this is a receive and file report. And the detail is in the packet. So any questions or concerns should be directed to the office, please. So, okay. Thank you, Christian, for the good news. Okay, so I'm going to check carefully. So I'm hitting all the agenda items in order correctly this time. Next item of business will be item 9, old business, and that will be discussion and possible action regarding 2022 fair dates. So we will open public comment at this time. So please remember the raise your hand button if you can. Otherwise, if I see your hand waving, we'll call on you as well. Any comments? I see, yes, I see Robin T.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. It's Robin Tan. I'm using my daughter's Zoom and I couldn't fix the last name. So it's Robin Tan. And first of all, I want to say thank you for having us and allowing us to make our public comments. It's really important that we're able to let you guys know how our communities are feeling about all of these things. I am the club leader for the Conejo Simi 4-H Club. And I also lead a lot of the livestock projects. I lead small livestock and large livestock projects. So I'm usually at the fair both weeks, and I bring multiple kids and families with me who are participating in those projects. And I just want to reiterate, I was here at the last meeting in September, and I made a comment then also. If the fair dates change outside of July and August, our families in our Conejo Simi 4-H Club they are not going to be able to participate if it means they have to take their kids out of school. We have lost too much school over the last 18 months, and school for all of our families, especially in my club and my own family. Additionally, school is a priority. We cannot miss any school. And I also wanted to let you guys, I wanted to reiterate, because I made this comment the last time too, that please don't forget Simi Valley Unified. Our kids, we have a lot of kids that participate in 4-H and Independent and Grange and FFA who live in Simi Valley Unified School District. And our school year starts sometimes at the end of the second, beginning of the third week of August. So when you do decide on your fair dates, please, I beg you to consider all of the school districts within Ventura County, because we have children who this is what they look forward to every year. And especially since COVID has happened and so many things have been taken away from our kids over the last 18 months. And the emotional ramifications of all of the issues from the pandemic really make the fair a bright and shining light for our kids. And they work all summer, all year, especially all summer. It gives them something to do. It gives them something positive to do, to work for, to strive for. And if we don't have the fair dates in summer, they're not going to be able to participate. And please, I also implore you not to separate the livestock from the fair. It's a huge draw for our community and all of the kids in our club and their families and their extended families and their friends. It's a big deal.
I just let you in, no.
So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. And again, I appreciate that you're letting us speak. And I really hope that we can get the dates today, because I need to let my kids and my projects and my project leaders, I need to let them put that on their calendars now. Our families need to take time off work for the 2022 fair, and a lot of them have to request that time well in advance. So thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
President Cornejo?
Conejo Simi, CONEJO -SIMI, 4-H.
Thank you. President Cornejo, just a quick question for clarity on parliamentarian procedure. You're going to have to help me with this. So it's on our old business up for discussion of fair board dates. Shouldn't the board have the discussion first? And then if there's a motion made, then during that point of discussion, then the public would comment since it's on the agenda.
I have no problem with that. Barbara, if you'd like to make your proposal at this time and we can continue, that's absolutely fine with me.
Absolutely. As I discussed in my CEO report, that I was considering 3 separate dates. One of the dates ending on Labor Day and backing up into August. That with speaking to a lot of our business partners, whether they're internal business partners, livestock folks. I read all of your letters. I understand what you're saying. I wasn't even considering that after looking into it. The second date, as I said, would end August 28th and back up 12 days. We would open with 2 days of no carnival. Whatever we do this year, I am going to ask the board for us to go out for an RFP for carnival. So the second set of dates would not work either. My third recommendation, and I think listening to everything that you all have said and going through the comments that have been made, and doing everything we can to find out what everyone needs and wants to see happen in 2022. It's not business as usual any longer, and we all know that. COVID has affected us in many different ways, not the least of being a fair that may not be as it was in the past. So my recommendation is August 3rd through the 14th, 2022. And I ask the board to take a vote on that.
So move. Second.
Okay, I'm going by voices. I believe that was Director Bradbury, seconded by Director Lopez. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or discussions on this? My only comment or question is to clarify with you, Barbara, this would mean that you'd be looking at the big change for us would not being an independent
Correct.
Midway, that we would be looking for a full contract for that. So that's a major change in how we do operations, but so that's would be a new and different kind of problem to solve, but it would also enable us to have the fair for those dates, correct?
That's correct. And
Okay.
there are
Alice, can we call you back after? All right.
We got some
there are
background
Mute
noise. here.
yourself, dude.
There are 2 RFPs out at the present time, Del Mar and Orange County. Orange County isn't due until the end of the year. Del Mar, I believe, is in discussion at the present time, but neither one of them have been announced. So because we come after Del Mar and as an independent Midway, we were able to get the best rides that come from Del Mar. If they do business with the Core Carnival this year, it will be a whole new ballgame for us. But we have been looking at this and working with this since probably April or May, when people started announcing date changes, etc.
Yes, Director Weigel.
So the one major change that you just described with our carnival, the rest of the fair structure and how it looks, specifically the different departments, all of that will remain during the fair time, just so that we can give clarity to our community.
Ask me, are you talking about a specific department, Bonnie?
All the departments, from photography to livestock.
I can't tell you all departments at this point.
What can we say that will remain that we do know?
Because we do have a lot of fair planning. And as you have heard, if I misspeak one word, it's going to be used again and again. At this point, I would ask the board to please approve April 3rd through 14th. Livestock will not be moved outside of the fair. And I know that's the main question that people are discussing right now. The rest of the fair, I cannot comment on at the present time. If we had the fair completely done at this point, it would mean that we're not doing all of the work that we need to be done.
Thank you for offering that clarity. I think that was really important with the stakeholders on the call today.
Any other questions by directors? And if not, I will ask Heidi to call the vote, please.
Yes, Director Bradbury,
Yes.
Wait. We gotta have public comment before we vote.
Oh, forgive me. Sarah, thanks for that catch.
Yep.
Good Lord. Thanks very much, Sarah. Okay, and I apologize. Seriously, this is just my faux pas on so many different things that have been happening today.
Can I make another comment real quick before the
Of course.
vote?
Of
All
course.
of you that are emailing me now, I cannot read those emails to the board. The most I can do is put them in the November agenda. So please, any emails that are coming in now, I'm not going to be able to share with the board today.
Okay, so let's start with public comment, and forgive me, raise your hand and remember that there is a button at the bottom under reactions. And then after that, I will still be asking just to make sure everyone's heard. And thanks for that catch, Sarah. All right, Kinsey Flame, first up.
Good morning again, everyone. I am so happy to hear that FAIR is, and you'll notice that I say FAIR because many of us alumni, we do not call it the fair, we call it FAIR, and that's what it is. I am so happy to hear that the livestock will be within those dates and that we will have our country fair with Ocean Air. I do feel a lot of this could have been avoided. I feel like there are some questionable actions, and I encourage the Fair Board to look at the staff and be sure that the staff is capable of doing the fair and all the necessities that go along with it. I understand that prior to COVID, the fair was probably pre-planned. Everything was in place, and now you're having to create another event that is brand new. The thought that we do not have enough vendors, I highly disagree with that, and I guarantee that I can find the vendors that you need. I own a group with 25,000 local women. I actually contacted the Fair Board and offered free advertisement and was not even contacted back. 25,000 moms are in my group that I could have reached for you for free, and no one even emailed me back. I am a fair alumni. I was at the fair for 9 years. My grandparents were involved with the fair. My grandma was involved with the fair. My sister, who prior to moving was involved by the fair. I just think that this could have been avoided with a little bit more transparency to our community. I do feel very offended, as many people do on this call, because I feel like we have all expressed our opinions. We have listened, we have attended meetings. These meetings are recorded. We know what's said. You cannot say that things weren't said. They were. I do encourage the board and the staff to be aware of community events. You should know, when schools are going back in session, how is this going to affect? That's kind of, a part of the job, to know what's going on in our community. And I don't feel like maybe the staff is connected to our community. So maybe if we could work on that. I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you again for bringing the livestock back with the kids. I don't agree that if we don't have everything planned now, that we aren't doing our job. I kind of feel like fair is, not too far away. Animals have already been bred. Kids have already put deposits down. Parents are already planning. It is not too far away to have a concise logistical plan of how this is going to work and how we are going to do that. I hope that this fair board and staff have reached out to community members and vendors already to secure them, because that's what needs to be happening now so that we can secure a successful fair. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Brianna Barrington. You're muted.
So I have a student that actually wants to speak to you guys real quick. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, my name's Ani from Santa Paula FSA. I'm excited to have the fair back and hope you guys keep the same dates as it was in the past.
Thank you, that's all.
Teresa Pellerino.
Good morning. Thanks for having us on. I'm actually going to kind of piggyback on what Scott Tolan said earlier. I kind of feel upset that the public was told that we were making things up and pulling stuff out of our hats. He actually used the same two quotes that I was going to quote about what Barbara Quaid said. The little bits of information that were kind of trickled out, it is alarming for parents and breeders and grandparents and things for us to try and figure out and read between the lines. I'm glad that you have decided to leave it there, excuse me, where it is. One other thing I would recommend is, before this ever comes up again, that you are never allowed to vote on next year's fair. It should be done at least 2 years in advance, because things are already in motion. The day after fair, when we come home from fair, us breeders are already breeding for the next season. To wait until October because that's what you guys said last time, we're going to wait till October to vote. That's not fair. The open enrollment for 4-H is in September, August and September. So these kids, we can't even plan our meetings because we're waiting for the fair to maybe pull the rug out from under us. That's what it really felt like to a lot of us. So that's kind of what I have to say. And also that one of the comments about that nothing is being, said, and if something was said, that's why this whole thing is on the agenda. That's why we're all here, because there was something said about changing the fair date. So it's really, be careful about what you say about the public spreading misinformation. We're not trying to do that. I think everybody on all three of your pages here, we're all volunteers and we're just trying to help these kids. And to say something like that about spreading misinformation was really hurtful. Thank you.
Megan Hook? Unmute. There you go.
Thanks. One note too, the way Zoom works, Leslie, is that the raise your hand feature depends on what kind of device you're on. So you might see it at the bottom of your page, but if you're on an iPad or a phone, that doesn't always work, just so you know. I would like to thank the public, the buyers, the families, the ag leaders, the community members, and especially the ag kids themselves for speaking up and for being brave and really fighting for what they want and they need. And I think that the gaslighting that has gone on in today's meeting and the last board meeting is not helpful in moving forward in a relationship with this board and its directors and our trust in what you guys do next. And while this feels like the right decision this year, like other people have said, it didn't have to go this route. It didn't have to be like this. And it makes us really weary of other things that come down the line. So that's something that needs to be fixed and addressed so that the community as a whole, not just the livestock community, but the entire Ventura County community can trust what comes next from this board of directors. So I want to thank everybody who really worked to fight for what they believe in. And I hope that moving forward, there isn't so much fight. None of us want to do that. One other note is, Barbara, we reached out to more than 108 vendors, concessionaires, midway, hypnotists, pyrotechnic companies, all kinds of fair concessionaires, and all but one said that they were available during those fair dates that were named today. All said that they were interested in participating in a Ventura County area fair during those dates. And not one of them said they had already been contacted by our fair. So the vendors are out there. And I hope that if it comes to any other departments, whether it be photography, the youth building, anything like that, where it becomes hard to make it a part of the fair, that you reach out to the community and ask for help, because we want the fair in its entirety. And yes, we were fighting for livestock. We will continue to fight for livestock. That is our job. But we care about the entire fair and every piece of it and want to see it whole. So please ask for help if that's what you need. Thank you.
Mr. Toland.
Good news to hear the fair dates and good news to hear that the livestock department is not going to be separated. I know with that decision, there's a lot of other things that need to be decided, simply just because I've been in this my entire life. I believe we're going to need some sort of livestock superintendent. We're going to need to address how the auction is going to take place. We're going to need to address whether we have one judge per species who's an expert in that area, like 805 Ag Kids did this year, or we're going to have just one judge who covers all species. We're going to have to judge commissions charged to the kids. We're going to have to decide on whether we deal with charitable organizations, how we handle if a wood Clayson's was going to come back or not, how that impacts everything. There's so many things that need to be decided in the livestock community for the benefit of the livestock community and the leaders and the volunteers, as Teresa Pellerino said, and all of the groups that need to know what's going on. You've seen a bunch of stakeholders who none of us wanted to have a conflict. None of us want to be a part of the problem. All of us want to be a part of the solution. Kinsey's offered, a lot of help. I've offered help both to you personally, Leslie, and to Barbara as well. No one's ever asked us for anything. There's a lot of other people in this community beside the 100 or so people that get on the call today. There's thousands, and we all know those people. We're all connected to those people. We can bring them to the table. I personally brought over $500,000 of spare sponsorship to the table. I've also been a vendor and rented the fairgrounds before. We have a lot of juice that we can bring and help and be a part of the solution, make it easier for you. As of today, the fairgrounds still does not employ enough people to make it a functional, fully operational fairgrounds. It doesn't. Yesterday, I inquired about getting a rate sheet. I was told I couldn't get a rate sheet yesterday. There was nobody that could do it for me. I said, well, what about just giving me the old rate sheet that you currently have and at least let me get a guideline on it? Even if you're looking at redoing the rates for this year, I understand, or redoing the rates for 2022, I get it. But just give me the basis of a document that already exists. Just get it to me. It didn't come, and I don't know when I'll get it. How do I plan to bring more revenue to the fair, to have more events at the fair? I can't even get a rate sheet that would have taken somebody a point and a click of a document that exists. So with the fact that there's so many other things in play, and especially from the livestock area, I don't understand why the community that can offer so much and has so much expertise can't be involved in the process. We've been asking if you need some help. We've been offering our help. We can bring so much to the table, including money, time, effort, volunteers, and not one time have any of you ever reached out and said, yeah, let's talk to you. Let's find out what's going on. You might just go out there and appoint a livestock superintendent or somebody in charge of the auction that we as a community in the livestock business know or don't know and wouldn't feel comfortable having the best event that we could possibly have. Let us participate in that process. I mean, obviously, we're not board members and we're not the CEO. We don't get the final say, but how about giving us a say? How about asking some of us that are in that business for a living? How about asking some of us that have been in this community? I've been in the community for 52 years. Why not ask us? We're the ones doing it. Most of you on the board are not actively involved in livestock. You're not doing anything that we're doing every single day and offering any of the things that we know how to do. There's also the marketing side, the advertising side, the promotional side, the event side, the math side. You know, we keep hearing how great you're doing. You're not doing great. You're not operating. The fairgrounds is not fully operational at this point. And those are some of the things that are being expressed right now. So let us help. We'll volunteer. We don't need money. We don't need anything from you. We're offering to help and be a part of the solution. And I've been having personal meetings with you. We've been on these calls. A lot of other people have as well. And I don't know of one person in our group or even extended up from our group or even into the group like Kinsey has of 25,000 women. I don't know of one of us that have been asked for help or input or opinion from any of you. So once again, we reiterate, we can help. We know how to do it. We've already done it. We actually did it better than you've ever done it. And we'd like to help again. So please reach outside of your small little box into the public that can help and do something effectively and efficiently different than you've done in the past. Thank you.
Alvaro. Hi, good morning. Thank you. My name is Carla Alvara. I did want to kind of piggyback on what some of the others, especially Megan, had said. And just to reiterate, yes, we do thank you for taking all of the consideration of the letters and the comments and the many people that have spoke up and in keeping the livestock together. Yes, I do have a stake in the livestock with being involved in projects, but it is beyond that. I mean, I'm very happy that the livestock's going to continue to be a part of it, that the dates being voted on and decided are in line with what they have been and will allow the kids and the families to do what they've always done. And it is a big part of the fair. But it is also important. It is a fair. It is, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of departments and a lot of things that go into it that do make it a fair and make it important. So while the livestock part is important, so are all the other pieces to it, the photography, the kids. I mean, this is a community event, as people have said, and having the kids being able to submit their projects, their art, their pictures, you know, all of that it makes the fair. And I really hope and encourage you to tap into the community. If you're, I get that it's a business. I get that you're run by the state, that there are parameters. Having worked for the county for 15 years, I know that there are certain things that people don't always understand. You have to fall in line with certain guidelines, but it is a community event. And I feel that the community should be able to support it and tap into it. And if you're finding difficulty in getting vendors, like they said, Kinsey, I mean, there are people that can reach out for free for advertising for help, and please tap into the community to ensure that this does stay a community event and that we are able to have all pieces of the fair that make it our Ventura County Fair. Thank you.
President Conejo, can you see Terry's hand? It's hard to see up against a white wall.
Oh,
You know what? I did not, and I apologize that. Yeah, it's the yellow hand against the wall. Yes, Terry Liziger, please.
Sorry about that. I don't know how to move where my hand is, but I closed my computer. Anyway, I just wanted to reiterate I've been attending the meetings even before they were just Zoomed from COVID. And I can personally attest to the fact that I and others have offered to be a part of community committees to help with these sorts of things, and we have been ignored. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Long.
My apologies. I literally didn't see that yellow against the back of the wall. So anyone else? I don't see any hands waving or hands up. Greg Cutler. You're muted.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Okay, I'm Dr. Greg Cutler. I happen to be an epidemiologist. I deal with population health, and I've attended the Ventura County Fair over 50 years. We are breeders of market lambs in the last 30 or 40 years. Many of our lambs go to the sale. My wife has been a 4-H leader for more than 25 years. And we have done a lot of volunteer work with 4-H and FFA. I think many people have told you how important it is in the planning of the fair and the sale of market animals to know more than a year in advance when the fair is going to be. Our breeders have been in for a period of time, figuring on the usual time of fair. And with the date that you have chosen, I think it's going to come out well. We've also participated as buyers in the livestock auction. And I've noted over the years, the more important stuff you buy and the longer you're a buyer, the lower your auction number seems to get. And we have been auction buyer number 3 and 4 in recent years. So we've been around. Also, we have participated for over 40 years in the carriage driving competition at the fair, which is now probably the very best carriage competition in California. So I certainly hope that the carriage competition continues and is at the fair, because those stands are usually full when the carriage competition is going on. So I appreciate the date being at a reasonable time. And as one other person said, those of us who breed animals for the fair need time to know when to put the males in with the females so that the offspring are ready when the sale is going to be. We have weight restrictions that we have to meet. Again, thank you very much. I'm always willing to help and would be happy to help even more than we do now.
Thank you. I'm looking if staff can help and make sure. Is there anyone else for comments before we go to our vote? Okay, seeing none or hearing none either, I will go ahead and ask for the call of the vote. And that was, as I understand, a motion by Director Bradbury, seconded by Director Lopez, to officially assign the fair dates next year of, Barbara, would you say them, please? Because I don't want to get it wrong. You're muted.
August 3rd through the 14th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Didn't want to have it to say it wrong and have it be confused here. Okay, so Heidi, would you unmute and call the vote, please?
Director Bradbury,
Yes.
Director Long,
Yes.
Director Lopez,
Yes.
Director Morgan Carter,
Yes.
Director Weigel,
Yes.
Vice President Lacayo,
Yes.
and President Cornejo.
Yes. Motion carries. We have fair dates for next year. I am so excited, and I think I speak for an awful lot of people that we can plan ahead and look forward and maybe stop all the worries. So next, we will again, having removed 9B from the agenda or tabled. There are no committee reports. Board correspondence has been in our packet and posted. Barbara, was any comment about any of the correspondence coming from the state or any other?
No, we received a notice of the State Rules Committee. We don't have a member on the State Rules Committee. However, Chris Garman, who was employed here previously, is on state rules, so he always keeps me abreast of everything that's happening.
Okay, so we'll move on then to item 12, consent agenda. Items under hereunder on the consent agenda are considered routine, not requiring separate discussion, will be enacted in one motion. Individual items A1 are approved by the vote that approves the consent agenda unless an item is pulled for separate consideration. So do I have a motion for the consent agenda? That is our Vice President Lacayo moves. Second, is there a second?
I would second that.
Second
Long.
from Director Long. Okay, and as mentioned by CEO, this does, as I believe, include the contract with the Card Club at the Derby Room. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Heidi, if you would please call the vote.
Yes. Director Bradbury,
Yes.
Director Long,
Yes.
Director Lopez.
He's excused for a second. Call him last, please.
Okay. Director Morgan Carter,
Yes.
Director Weigel,
Yes.
Vice President Lacayo,
Yes.
President Cornejo,
Yes.
and
let us know.
Director Lopez on the consent agenda.
Okay, he's walking back into the office.
Yes, I heard. Okay, so motion
Thank you.
carries. Okay. Okay, moving on in the agenda, we've got president's comments. I just am thrilled that we are going to be able to have a press release with the dates. And I'm also very happy that there's so much interest in our fair that we have many ambassadors on the call now that will be able to help us get out the word with fair dates. So with these 3 pages of people participating in our call, we can spread the good news of firm fair dates and look forward to the work that will be done to make sure that all departments are in order and we put on the best fair possible for next year. We know that our hearts are all in it for doing as well as we can. If there's minor tweaks and changes that have to be done due to either COVID or the dates, we'll get through and we'll put on an awesome fair for our community. So with that, I'll move to director's comments. Let's see if we can have, let's see, on the screen I have Director Weigel first.
Thank you. So to our public and to our fellow board, thank you for having an action with fair dates and for having and delivering clarity as to what we do know what will happen during the fair, including the livestock. There wasn't one letter that I did not read, and thoughtfully, each of you presented what mattered most to you. And I just want to say that we see you, we heard you, and it did matter. And hopefully we move forward into Fair 2022 in a way that you stay engaged with us, that we continue to work with you and see how we can explore your time and your resources and help us rebuild and reshape a viable Ventura County Fair and Ventura County Fairgrounds operation moving forward. Things will never go to how they were, and we can expect and should embrace that there will be continued community input and engagement around our decisions and the actions as representatives of the 31st Agricultural District. And with that, I openly embrace your involvement and look forward to our continued engagement. Thank you so much. And thank you to our directors again for making that vote today.
Thank you. Barbara, if you can move your screen or allow Director Bradbury for comments.
Yes. I want to thank the public as well for its interest in and support of the fair. And I also think we all learned a lesson today about not jumping to conclusions and being respectful and civil. I wish everybody a good day. And again, thanks for your support of the fair.
Thank you, Director Bradbury. And while we're on that same microphone, if we can go to Director Lopez, do you have comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to add my voice to Director Bradbury's comments. I agree with him 100%. Thank you.
Director Long?
Yes, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I just wanted to reiterate that our board cares about achieving the best results for continuing all the traditions of our fair and fairgrounds. We are all volunteers who love supporting Ventura Ag's community, both livestock and ag producing crops grown here, along with all the departments during the fair, supporting all the many facets of our diverse county. That we discuss openly all possible solutions to current issues, especially during ever-changing mandates, allows for us to make well-considered decisions. And we absolutely listen and appreciate the public input to help guide our decisions. And I would say too, I read all the correspondence and it came in all over the place. But what I appreciated the most were all the handwritten notes by the kids. And that, all of us love helping and preserving the traditions of the fair. So we are always listening to you and we appreciate all that you offer.
Director Morgan Carter?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, as I've said in the past, how much I appreciate your attendance and participation in our meetings. As an advocate for our survey that we did, I believe it was last year, I've lost track of time previously, as well as I've advocated for us consideration of community committees. So your participation, hearing from you is extremely important, as well as I love hearing from the children. Thank you all so much. And I'm so happy that we have fair dates. Thank you.
Director Lacayo, our Vice President Lacayo.
I too would like to thank the public, the livestock community, and all of the people who are interested in what happens at the 31st Ag District. I think I'm glad we have dates. I'm glad it's acceptable to everybody. I would just like to say that you've got to remember we have over 300,000 fairgoers a year. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Our parking lot can only accommodate 300,000. And the fair is not just about one department. It is all departments, and all together we make a county fair. And we consider the photography department, the art there, everything is equally as important as the other. And without all of the different departments, it wouldn't be a county fair. And I think Ventura is lucky because we really try to ensure that we have ag and our diverse community represented at the fairgrounds. The other thing I would like to, it's like picking children. Do you have a favorite child? Well, you really can't say you have a favorite child or one favorite department. I mean, they're all important. The other thing is, I was really dismayed when I looked on the 805 Ag Kids website and saw my personal email address posted. I have a right to privacy. Fairgrounds does not disclose my email, and I am aware that you can probably find it publicly. I am a public person, but I really was quite offended. And it wasn't just my email, it was all of the board members' email. So having said that, I hope that we can move forward together in the spirit of community. And I look forward to the 2022 fair. And I'd really like to thank Barbara and the staff and my fellow board members, but in particular the staff. This has been very, very difficult, and I look forward to moving on.
Thank you, Vice President Lacayo. Have I hit all directors? Forgive me. Raise your hand if you have not had the chance to speak. I think we've hit them all. I'm sorry Director Cuevas isn't here to celebrate our fair dates as well, but I'm sure she'll find out about them right away. As will, I'm sure we'll have a press release going out and we'll let the whole world know that we have dates, and so we can put that to rest. Moving on to future agenda items, any items to be placed on the agenda that have not already been mentioned. And again, as I say, we can add items later. It doesn't have to be at this moment, but they need to be done before the agenda goes out so that they can be made public. Anything else? All right. Well, I just heartfelt thanks to everyone. I actually feel a bit emotional here with feeling community coming together and willing to work together, move forward together on a project and the fairgrounds that we love so much. And it is our gathering place, as I said before. Our directors, many I've been there longer than I, some less than I, but I'm in the mix, and we all love the fair. We love the staff. We love our community, and can't wait to put on the best fair possible for next year. So with that comment, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.